Dr. Zhe Lu.
Right. So he is a oh my gosh. He is a professor of organismal.
Of what?
Organismal biology and anatomy. He works at the University of Chicago.
That's what I represent. Yo.
I was gonna write you an email, but I'm a little drunk and spelling is a sober person's game. So I feel I owe you a splanation. I'm sorry. A splanation.
Good evening, fellow agents and believers. This is Agent X7. Tyrannosaurus Rex of all podcasters. With me as always is, are you ready for this one?
I'm ready for this one.
Oomingsis of all podcasters, Lilith Draco. This is part 2 of our wonderful journey through Dino Fest. Come on, do the Batusi. I brought that upon myself. I'm in trouble. How are you this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
Feeling no pain. Getting better.
I'm loving this dinosaur talk.
I'm going to be in hell for the rest of the evening, aren't I?
For the rest of your life. That's right.
I'll take it. I'll pretend that it bothers me. So Lilith, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight I am drinking Gold Cliff IPA. It's from Kona Brewing Company. It is a 7.2%. It's actually it's okay. Not the worst, not my favorite. I might get it again. It's pretty good. What are you drinking tonight?
Tonight I am having an this first beer is an Old Rasputin from North Coast.
I think you've talked about Old Rasputin before. That's one of your go-tos, right?
One of my go-tos. It's quite enjoyable. It's a little bitter. It's a little more bitter than the average stout, which is a kind of beer. But I don't care for the sweet stout. I do like a dark chocolate is not sweet. It's a little bitter.
Right,
so,
right.
I have 2 bitter things in my life that I love.
Hey! What does that mean?
I said nothing. I'm actually pretty proud of that one. I almost snorted this beer out because I started to laugh. That would have been horrible caught on camera.
So now in the lecture, we get to the meat-eating dinosaurs. Since you, X7, are the one that's totally into dinosaurs, what are some of those meat-eating dinosaurs? Like, what are the most known meat-eating dinosaurs? God damn it.
Well, the eating dinosaurs, it's about time I got one.
Damn it, Lilith. Damn it.
I don't think I'm going to win this one tonight, folks. So obviously the Tyrannosaurus Rex is arguably the most popular dinosaur in the world. Brontosaurus excelsus, otherwise known as Brontosaurus, is probably right up there now that it's returned. However, so theropods Those are the meat-eating ones, the eat-eating ones. And I'm not going to run that into the ground, I promise. I hope. So Tyrannosaurus Rex, I would say Allosaurus fragilis, which is common in this part of the world. It's a Jurassic dinosaur, almost as tall as or as big as the T-Rex. A little more robust, has more robust arms. You can't make fun of them, even though a T-Rex arm is as long as my leg, comparatively speaking. No, I'm not salty about the people making fun of T-Rex at all. So those are the two probably most famous theropods. Raptors, Velociraptor, Deinonychus, Utahraptor, those, they're more popular now, but nobody'd heard of them until really Jurassic Park. Did make their first appearance on television was in 1974's Valley of the Dinosaur, where you saw the actual size of Velociraptor's little bitty thing, but they are there. Ceratosaurus, I don't know its species name. Ceratosaurus has the horn on its nose. It was featured in the excellent movie 1966's 1 Million Years BC. Carnotaurus is newer, but it's a good looking dinosaur. Tarbosaurus bataar is the Mongolian version of the T-Rex. Albertosaurus from Canada, and I'll refrain from the accent. There's a couple of those. Gorgosaurus is not nomium dubia, meaning they're not sure. They think it's the same as an Albertosaurus. Gorgosaurus is a great name. So those are the main ones. Albertosaurines, clade of T-Rex. So, but those are the big ones. T-Rex and Allosaurus are the most well-known. I mean, obviously.
Why is T-Rex one of the most well-known? What was it about the T-Rex, and why is it in all of the movies? Why is it the one that's known as just the one that dominates all the other dinosaurs?
Well, the name Tyrannosaurus Rex means king tyrant lizard. When you name something that, and it's 45 to 50 feet long, when it used to stand upright, it was considered to be 19 feet or more high. Now it's tilted a bit, so it's only about 12 feet, but it's still a massive. It's 4 to 6 tons. It had teeth like bananas, sharp, razor sharp teeth that are banana sized. That would refresh. If they fell out, much like a shark, they would just grow back. It's an impressive looking animal, even with its arm. It hates doing push-ups. Yes, I know.
All right, so one of the things that he talked about with the T-Rex is while you see it and it's always, roughing with its mouth wide open and the teeth just showing, in reality, it may actually have some sort of lip around the teeth, or else those teeth would have been dried out and then would have fallen out. So how do you feel about your Tyrannosaurus Rex having some sort of lips?
I just figured they all did. That's never been a no, that's not even a thought, because in the movies, which is where I saw T-Rex first, they would grimace and their lips would move, and they just had them because it helped when they were stop motion. Little rubber models built up. They're not little; they're probably about 3 feet long, but it would help with character, because you've got to give some kind of, even if they were just sneering. But all of them I've seen, I think most of them have had lips. I think snakes, you don't see crocodiles, you see some teeth when they close. Right. But dinosaurs aren't crocodiles. I mean, I like crocs, fine, alligators. But snakes, you don't see their teeth at all. Maybe. Seems like I saw teeth on a boa constrictor once. It was 32 feet long. Felt bad for that, even then, in a big old tank. It doesn't bother me. It's taken me a lot longer to get used to feathers than Mike, because
any kind of lip or skin. Yeah.
Everyone would want. I mean, you wouldn't want your teeth to dry out.
Right.
I mean, unless you're living in the ocean and you're a fish, then you don't care.
Right. So, side story. As a child, young teen, after Jurassic Park came out, the first one,
And Lilith.
I was helping a older lady that was in my neighborhood do some chores around her house because she couldn't. And I don't remember exactly what I was helping her with, but it required using a ladder. And every time I opened up this ladder, it would make a noise like as I opened it, and it sounded to me exactly like the T-Rex in the movies. And it was funny, every time I had to open it, sometimes I close it to open it again, but it, for me, was the T-Rex sound from Jurassic Park.
How did that noise go again?
What?
How did that noise go again?
I'm not going to make it. If you missed it the first time, you don't get to hear it a second time.
Is it anything like a velociraptor noise?
No, we'll get back to that. That comes later.
Okay.
All right, so we talked about the meat-eating dinosaurs. I said it right that time, damn it.
I like the eating.
Can you name some of the plant-eating dinosaurs that are more well-known?
They're all the rest of them. Well, I would say that obviously the sauropods, the thunder lizards, Brontosaurus, Diplodocus, or Diplodocus, depending on what part of the world you're from. Brachiosaurus, which are the ones you see, the very first dinosaurs that Professor Grant and his wife see in Jurassic Park, the very first one. I just can't even think about seeing real dinosaurs like that. I'd have done the same thing. So the sauropods are probably the most famous, especially Brontosaurus.
Apatosaurus.
The what?
What?
The Vegisaurus.
Right.
I would say that the Brontosaurus is the most famous of those. We've talked about ceratopsians, the Triceratops horridus, if you want to know its full. Obviously, the most famous ceratops. Protoceratops is the first one. Didn't have any horns, but it had a frill. And the very first eggs they found, dinosaur eggs, in Mongolia. By Roy David Andrews, the guy who financed it, that claimed that later on they said that he was the basis for Indiana Jones when he was not. He was kind of a self-promoter. Anyway, I digress. So we've got sauropods, ceratopsians. And then the next one's the hadrosaurs, duck-billed dinosaurs. They're Parasaurolophus, the ones with the big things that look like oboes on their heads. And there's some other dinosaur. Got a thick skull, and I'm forgetting the name.
The absolute most incredible, fantastic Pachycephalosaurus.
And where were those discovered? Do you know?
Wyoming or Montana was the first time they were discovered, or the first place they were discovered.
My beer is empty. Yes, the Pachy's are they were not, the first things they ever discovered were their skulls. It took them a long time to find the rest of any of them because their skulls were thick. They were 8 inches of bone, thick skulls. They thought they had 3 of them at some point, and they kind of
Stigliopoc and Dracorex.
They decided
Pachycephalosaurus.
that those were baby and juvenile ones. As they grew up, the horns grew, their heads grew into the horns, I guess. My stepfather would have said it was a horny little creature. I'll tell you.
Oh, Hank. Oh, Hank.
She could have spent some time with him. Be that as it may, those are the main ones. There are other, ankylosaurs that just if they didn't have sharp teeth, they were eating plants. All of the dinosaurs started out as meat eaters, actually, and as evolutionary, as they found out they could process plants, they started eating them. Now, nothing on this planet is 100% plant eater or 100% meat eater. I mean, even cows will eat bugs. They're not going to stop and pick off a grasshopper of anything they're chewing on. They've also been known to eat small animals because they just don't look at what they're eating, which is weird.
Like the best animal ever, the best animal, the hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus?
They eat plants. They eat plants. But if they are starving, they will eat meat if they need to.
Probably eat fish. I mean, they swim in the ocean. I mean, actually, recently on I Know Dino, they were discussing hippos and how they swim, which is not really like a seal or a fish. They're actually pushing themselves off the ground, off the bottom, and then coming up and holy crap.
They're amazing.
Now, I would stop and look at a T-Rex if it was coming at me. If I saw a hippo barreling down at me any part of the world, I'd levitate out of the water.
I would, come on, baby, come on.
Oh, that'd be
Let me love and kiss on you.
What a way to go. Unless her name's Fiona, don't do it.
Which, by the way, she's going to have a little sibling because really? Tucker and BB are pregnant.
No, Agent C lives in Cincinnati, right? So just saying.
All right, back to dinosaurs.
Can't steal her.
So one thing that Dr. Mark Lowen talked about with the ceratopsia was their skin under a microscope and the different shapes of the surface of it, which is very comparable to a chameleon in the same exact spots of the body.
Huh.
Which were a couple different shapes. So certain areas of the body were one shape, just like a chameleon, versus other areas of the body were different shapes, just like a chameleon. Not that they were chameleons in that sense to where they could blend in, because science hasn't gotten to that point, but as far as the skin and where it was located, very, very similar.
Huh. So they might have been able to at least shift some color tone.
They may have. They may have. And a lot of what was talked about with the different mini lectures or discussions was being able to compare kinds of animals or reptiles or, from today and compare them to what they have discovered in the past. And that's a lot of how they can determine how they actually looked like back then.
And acted.
Versus in the past where they didn't know.
It is fascinating.
It is. It is. And that is for me what I liked the most about this. I mean, I know you like the dinosaurs themselves and learning about them as a species. I actually really enjoyed learning about the science of how they determine what kind of skin they had and how they can determine where the feathers were and how they can determine the colors of the feathers more than the actual dinosaurs themselves.
You think Packies had feathers?
Molecules. I don't know if they had feathers. I haven't researched them to that extent, but I think that's why I maybe enjoyed some of the lectures more than you did, is because that is more of what I'm interested in, not the dinosaurs themselves.
I'm interested in dinosaurs. You're interested in dinosaur accessories.
That's right. That's right.
I'll tell you what.
So anything, let me see, anything more about the keynote speaker? The Allosaurus.
Theropods.
They had skin like a basketball.
They're neat.
That's what their skin was like.
A basketball.
The surface of a basketball, the shape of, if you were to look closely at a basketball, and the surface of it is what the Allosaurus skin looks like.
That makes sense, I guess.
And they discovered that with the Allosaurus, the scapula rests on the ribs, on top of the ribs. Kind of like how our scapula rests on top of the ribs, and we can move.
Well, they did have bigger arms. They had more robust arms for sure.
And they didn't have, at this point, they don't see the Allosaurus to have feathers. They have not discovered that at this point.
Huh.
Whether they did or not, but at this point, they are not known to have feathers.
Because an Archaeopteryx is older, or at least of the same vintage as an elephant. Interesting.
And as far as dinosaurs, I think in general, they still can't determine the skin pigment like they can now with the feathers. Right. The science of the skin pigment isn't to where they can determine the colors of the skin like they can with the feathers.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
And dinosaurs at this point are not known to shed their skin like snakes or lizards or things like that. They're not known to shed their skin.
I didn't know that. I never thought about it really, because I don't think crocs shed their skin.
I don't think they do either.
That's a lot of times what they'll base some things about dinosaurs on. Birds, however, do molt. I mean, obviously as children, and they leave feathers everywhere. Bird children. What are bird children called? Chicks?
So there was one quote he did say that I had to write it down because I thought it was awesome. Made me chuckle. He said, "If you found yourself inside T-Rex stomach, it's very acidic. You would not melt Indiana Jones style."
You know, that's the movie that needs to be made, Indiana Jones and the Lost World.
Which I've heard that the next Indiana Jones 5, is going to be more like the other ones than the ridiculous, stupid fourth one.
I've never seen the fourth one, and I'm not really drunk to watch that.
We're going to do it. It'll be a while still, but we're going to do it.
You know, there's one person that liked it. Leopold Stotch. Butters.
Right. So, one of the questions that was asked a couple times during the discussion, I don't know if you were there during it, because it was asked, before the lecture, and it was asked during the lecture, is that if dinosaurs have been determined to be warm-blooded or cold-blooded. And they actually don't know at this point.
They hedge their bets. Scientists.
Dinosaurs, the evolution of dinosaurs, while they are evolved into the birds we see today, and birds today are warm-blooded. So that's more of where they're leaning just because of that, but scientists or paleontologists will not actually say yes or no. Okay, so another thing they talked about is did certain kinds or certain dinosaurs run in packs? And the ones up to date that do run in packs is the Tyrannosaur. That is the type of dinosaur that has the most evidence for running in packs. What do you think?
I think it's likely, and if it's likely for Tyrannosaurs, it's likely for Allosaurs. It's probably very likely for the smaller theropods, the Dromaeosaurs, the Coelophysis, or just because there's safety in numbers. That's just
right.
I doubt that the T-Rex packs were very big, because that's a lot of, when you're 4 to 6 tons and you're feeding a family, that's probably your pack. But the smaller one, I'd also think that ceratopsians had herds. I guess they're not packs. I think that's pretty well established, just based on just probably what it looks like. I'm pretty sure that the hadrosaurs, the pectoral dinosaurs, sort of probably also had. I'm sure that they do. It just makes sense to me. I mean, if you have one T-Rex that herds that scares your prey, other one who's not looking.
Right.
That makes sense to me. I mean, I wouldn't want to say that they were, that smart, but I think that, that's not uncommon with, wolves do it, lions do it. So male lions who just casually walk by while chasing over for the women who do all the work. That's what it is.
So yeah, that's, and then the last note I made about his little lecture was recently there has been new 6 kinds of ceratopsians. What are ceratopsians, X7?
They're the frilled dinosaurs. Some of them had horns, some of them didn't, but they would have the big frill. They were literally built like tanks, 30 feet long, probably weighed even more than the T-Rex. Triceratops, Pentaceratops, Styracosaurus, 357. Protoceratops, 0. But there's also some other ones, Torosaurus. Probably shouldn't even get into the Torosaurus Triceratops debate, because I think they're stupid. I vote that Triceratops gets to stay as Triceratops.
Right. So even now, currently, they're still discovering more species of these different kinds of dinosaurs. And the most recent that he's talking about with what he is studying himself is that there's 6 new species of ceratopsians, new kinds of ceratopsians. Some of them have been named, and there's a few that have not. I didn't write down the names because they went through it way too quickly, and I knew I wasn't gonna. But they're still even naming to this day these different kinds of ceratopsians. So what I'm saying is this work is still continuing. They're still learning more. They're still discovering more. They're still finding additional information that 5 years ago they wouldn't have been able to discover because of, the level of science that it is today versus then.
Well, they've also somebody just came out in the last month, probably the last 2 weeks, about the differentiating Tyrannosaurus rex into three separate species.
Right.
I don't know
And that's another question that I didn't write that down, but that is another question he got a couple times, was how does he feel about this paper that has been published about the different kind of Tyrannosaurus rex? And his response was, I mean, with all the different species of dinosaurs, it's likely that there were different types of T-Rexes. However, this paper did not give enough evidence to what the author was trying to say it was. That doesn't mean there's not additional species of T-Rexes. It's just he didn't have the appropriate evidence at this point in time to say, yes, you are right. That doesn't mean that there's not. It just means at this point, we are not advanced enough to say yes.
That's what I heard and read as well. So, and
Yeah.
that's generally what I, as an amateur, a very amateur paleontologist, would believe, just because it's just like, come on, I know you want to cause some excitement, but
right. So that was kind of the end of his mini lecture. He was the keynote speaker, and he was actually the best speaker out of all of them that I attended.
go in there, Lil.
I'm opening up a beers with my super cool Thor's Hammer bottle opener.
So cool. Dang it. Apparently you're worthy.
I am worthy, damn it.
Yeah, that didn't completely distract me, but I need to open another beers. It's about time. It's about time, Luann. I just cheated on you.
What?
I think I just cheated on you with this beer.
Yeah, you did.
You almost made me snort it out.
Don't do that. Don't waste the beers.
This is more precious than gold.
It is. It really is. Have you found a new favorite to take over? I mean, it's not going to be that favorite, but the Rasputin?
No, the Rasputin's only a 9. This is a 12. The Whiskey Barrel Stout from Boulevard is a 12%. It's the next go-to, and it is in my 12%. I did like the true, the something Veil, Undiscovered Veil or something was quite tasty. It's a little more expensive, but everything's more expensive these days. Thank you, COVID. But I generally go with the smokestack. I got a 4-pack of those for my latest celebration of my turn around the sun.
Nice. So
yeah, good gift, but it's just
right.
Just Samuel Adams bought out Dogfish Head, or bought them, or they merged or something, and
yeah, hasn't been.
This is from when you first came out, remember?
I know, that's a long time ago. That's gross. But at least they're still good, so.
They age well. Barley wines age well, so You will appreciate that when you're here.
They don't last long enough in my apartment to age well. I drink them. They're just no. Okay, and Lilith is drunk. Lilith is winning the fucking. Lilith is drunk. Okay, so let's talk about the next mini lecture. Let me give some.
It's the Irish woman.
The Irish woman. Professor Dr. Maria McNamara. I have a few notes on her. She is a professor at the University College Cork in Ireland, which when I go to Cork, go to Ireland, Cork is the first place I actually want to go. I want to go the whole country. Yes, the whole country, but Cork is the first place I want to go. She is a, what?
Cork and Kerry Mountain.
That's right. That's right. She is a paleobiologist. No, I didn't say that right.
I don't know what you just said. Paleo what?
Nothing. She is a paleobiologist. A paleobiologist.
Yes, I did watch her again, and that is what she said. Not what you said.
Paleobiologist. Her research focuses on the preservation of soft tissue in the fossil record. Right. And her current research project relates to the preservation, structural, and pigmentary color in fossils. So she studies
fossil accessories.
So some fossils have pigmentation, even though those aren't the living pigmentation of those fossils. And she also studies the true pigmentation of the animals before they became fossils.
I'll tell you what.
She does have a current research project, which is the preservation of structural and pigmentary colors in fossils, like we just talked about. And she teaches at UCC, University College Cork. She teaches undergraduates in their second year sedimentary paleobiology field trips. She also teaches third year evolution and fourth year paleobiology. So that's what she does in Ireland.
Oh, I have notes from her lecture.
Oh, I have notes too. Oh, what? Oh, your cool books.
I have 1, 2, 3 notes.
So the title of her lecture was Fossil Color, the Study of the Original Coloration of Ancient Organisms.
Right. I don't know my notes. There's 3. I only wrote 3 down. She distracted me with her.
She what?
Distracted me with that accent.
Yeah, I know, me too. But I still was able to somehow take notes. Her first point was the false colors in fossilizations, that some fossils have colors that appear when we find them, but those are not the actual colors of the fossils from when they were living. Those are just the chemicals that are in the rocks once they are formed, the fossils once they are formed.
You are correct. That's what I got out of that.
Yes.
It's melanin. That was the whole thing where everything based itself on how much melanin there was How much had seeped out? What had changed?
It's the colors that form during the fossilization process, which are minerals, the different irons that are in the fossils, and the different titaniums that are found in the fossils. It's not the colors itself. What?
Yeah, nothing.
I took notes. What?
You did. It was awesome. It's awesome that you just said titanium. That's all. It's not.
Molecules.
Stop it.
Molecules. You know I'm going to insert that in this portion, right? Molecules.
It's a good thing you don't wear glasses around me very often.
Right.
Yes, it's not you. It's me having a reaction to all of that science talk.
But yes, melanin is found in the fossils. She even said that melanin is found in the fossils. It's found in feathers, human hair, skin, and bacteria.
And bacteria is like 90% of the life on Earth.
Right.
I learned that in my schooling recently.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's been this part, the biology part's a lot more fascinating than Excel.
Right.
I'll tell you what. So yes,
Huh?
She was enjoyable. I felt bad. She couldn't hear anybody. I don't think we were playing audio problems.
So the melanin was first found in the Cenozoic.
Right, which is pre-dinosaur.
Right. And then later in other periods. And the color is determined by the melanin granules, like in the microscope, what the shape of it.
Kind. Because that's one of my other notes is that there were ginger diners.
There were ginger dinosaurs. God damn it. That was my next note too.
Ginger dinos.
Yep. I wrote ginger exclamation point. Ginger.
I don't know why I would have noticed that.
I know why I would.
I know why I would too.
Gingers are awesome.
I found it. Well, never mind. That's never mind.
So some species she was talking about use the melanin for photoprotection and some for thermoregulation and mechanical stiffening, like stiffening of wings and feathers.
Yep. As she talked about our pterosaurs. Not petrosaurs, but pterosaurs.
What are pterosaurs?
Pterosaurs that fly. Pteranodons, pterodactyls, Rhamphorhynchus, Dimorphodon. Better remember these because we're going to play a game about that, and those are some that might be come up. Quetzalcoatlus.
Well, don't say it, because then I'll repeat. So the melanin is found in eyes, skin, hair, and feathers. Didn't they all have feathers? Aren't they all chickens now?
Now that... No, because a 6-ton chicken wouldn't walk like a 4-pound chicken.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Chickens are dopey.
So what she talked a lot about was taking the pigment from animals now and studying the way they are shaped, looked, whatever, and comparing them to the layers of pigmentation from the fossils that have been found. And because the shapes and what have you match, that's how they are able to determine the colors from the dinosaurs, or what the dinosaurs were. So another point that she made is that pterosaurs, you know, the flying dinosaurs, pterosaurs,
Petrosaurs.
right? Their feathers are not like bird feathers now.
Not a bit.
They're different.
They're downy, but they're filament. They're almost hair, more like hair
I
than
wonder if they're softer to sleep on, the pterosaur feathers.
have one up there.
Get it? You're pointing up. Get it, bitch. I mean, X7.
Really?
Super secret agent X7, who
Bitch?
doesn't listen to anybody tell him what to do.
Who told me not to tell her no? Like 2 days after meeting her.
Lilith.
All right then.
Lilith doesn't take kind to the word no.
Told her about puppy poo though. Look, it's a beanie baby.
It's a petrodactyl,
Pteranodon.
a flying dinosaur.
Remember who got this for me? Oh, look, it's back open. Squirrel. I love pteranodons. They're my favorite. I actually have one of those, a figure of a pteranodon. You know who gave it to me? It was a certain sweet summer Texas child.
I love a Pachycephalosaurus, Stygliomock, Draco Rex. You can't get more badass of a name than Draco Rex.
You know who that's named after, right? Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter.
Draco is a badass name.
See if I can get fly back up here.
That's the pretty much. Did we talk about her? Yeah, we talked about her.
Other thing that
Sorry, I'm looking at my notes.
about Dr. Maria is that
Yeah, I want to take a class.
her cat interrupted her. Push the door open.
I do want to take a class from her, but so. Oh no. So our next lecture mini.
Poor guy.
Can you pronounce his name?
I'd have to see it. It's Shen something, isn't it? Shen Lu, probably. I don't know. I don't remember. English was not his first language. He
wasn't so. Okay, we're gonna look down here. I'm gonna put it. Give us a second. That's his name.
Dr. Zeshi Lu.
Right. So he is a professor. Oh my gosh. He is a professor of organismal.
Of what?
Organismal biology and anatomy. He works at the University of Chicago.
Oh, of the bears. Oh, okay. Organismal. Okay.
Yes. Okay, he's a professor at the University of Chicago. That's the most important. Okay. He studies
That's where
mammal fossils of the Mesozoic era.
Fossils.
And he seeks to decipher the origins of mammalian biological adaptations, evolutionary relationship. This is bullshit. I should not be trying to read this.
I still like geez, I almost said it, orgasmal.
Adaptations, evolutionary relationship of major lineages, ecological diversification, and developmental patterns. Thank God I wrote this shit down.
Gosh, I can't believe you wrote it down, because who cares? Mammals, and it's supposed to be about dinosaurs.
He studies mammals, and he works in many parts of the United States and China, so he's
Bilingual.
yes. And he is the co-author for Mammals from the Age of Dinosaurs, a major book on early mammal evolution. So he studies mammal evolution. And boy, oh boy, that dude was super smart, and I will give him all props for that. But my God, it was boring.
He couldn't read the room. He thought he was funny, and I got the feeling he thought that he was talking to he was talking to he came across as talking to young people. Yeah, I mean young people, as opposed to people who wanted to. It's just the way he said things was like, just like, oh, isn't that great? And I'm like, no, it's not that great. You need to not tell us this sort of. And I think part of it was that English is a second language. His English was very good. You and I both have been around Chinese people who did not have.
He did speak great English. Like, he was good. I think though also that he spoke, if I was more into the evolution of mammals from that time period, it would have been more interesting. But I was there for dinosaurs.
Right. Not dinosaur accessories.
Right. I didn't want to hear about the dinosaur accessories. And while that's fine, if I was in the mindset of dinosaur accessories, if I wanted to learn more about the mammals, it may have been a little more entertaining, which is then why with the last mini lecture, I ended up leaving, is because I don't care about bugs, and I knew it was about bugs.
And they were behind as it was because of their audio issues.
They were.
Yeah, I felt bad for him, because I think he'd probably be, if that's what you wanted to know about, that would be the professor to learn from. But I don't care about little bitty animals, except for this one.
But I still took notes. As painful as it was to sit there and listen, my ass was sore at this point. I had been sitting there for 2 hours, but guess what? I still took notes. So he did talk about mammals and the evolution of mammals from that time period. So, I mean, my God, he was boring. I wouldn't want to sit in his class, 3 times a week. But in the end, I mean, it was fine for one. And
I think in person, you could interact with him, and again, you'd have to be interested in that particular subject. He wasn't talking about dinosaurs. He was talking about those little furry animals that scurried around underneath dinosaurs until the meteor hit. Frickin' asteroid.
He talked about, as far as mammal goes, he talked about the hair, spine, scales, and glands is what he talked about. And he talked about what makes a mammal.
Which is interesting.
He talked about mammary glands, which lactate and form new growth.
Yeah, I'm fond of mammary glands, yes. Mother Nature's dairy delight. You can't.
He talked, right. Titties. He talked about fur sweat glands, which are thermoregulation, metabolism, things like that. He talked about scales, spine, were for protection. Trying to read my notes.
You weren't even awesome then. You should have been.
Really, what it comes down to is it was boring. I wasn't there for that. And it was boring.
They had done that, and they were behind because of their issues with their AV issues. So they were running behind.
Right. So one of the points I did write down that I thought was interesting, because I put a star to it, was that mammals were flying in the Mesozoic. They created features and structures to help them fly. This then brings us to the third and last lecture that we sat through, because we didn't stay for,
Ladybug.
We didn't sit through the last one. So the last one we did sit through, her name was Sarah Davis. She is a PhD candidate. She is a PhD student at the University of Texas in Austin. She is studying paleontology with Dr. Julia Clark, and her research focuses on the evolution of avian and non-avian theropod dinosaurs.
Hey, why'd she talk about bugs?
She wasn't. That was the last one. This was the second to last one. We didn't even talk about the last one. I got up and walked out after her. She didn't talk about bugs. She talked about colors.
Oh.
Colors of dinosaurs.
Oh yeah. She only did like 15 minutes, right?
Yeah, she was the shortest one of them all. But her speech was titled "Colorful Beasts." So she's more about the colors of the dinosaurs than anything. So it was kind of a retelling. I didn't take very many notes because most of what she talked about was already talked about by Maria McNamara from University College Cork. So she just kind of reiterated what Maria talked about, Dr. Maria. But she is a PhD candidate, which, I mean, you got to give her that, because
yeah, she'll be a doctor.
She's gotten that far. I'm 40 something, and I haven't even gotten that far. So
4,000 something.
So what she talked about more, the notes I'm going off of, is what the color, the usages of the colors. So she talked about camouflage, danger, and attraction or mating, which is what the colors were used for. One of the three.
Interesting enough.
Right. But that's also known in current day animals.
Right. That's what you have to go on current day to try to ascertain what prehistoric animals would have done, I believe.
Right. So I took like 1 page of notes. She was, I mean, I appreciated what she had to say, but in the end, it was basically what Maria had already said.
I think that was the theme of the weekend, was colors of dinosaurs, things like that. Everything I say is awesome, baby.
No, shut up, don't say anything. So yeah, that's what the whole Dino Fest was, is Dino Fest in living color. It was more about how scientists have figured out the color of the dinosaurs and the colors of the feather, and how science has gotten them to figure that out, and the where they're going with it.
I was going to say that it seems to me like that's going further if they wanted to get a general audience. That the general audience is not going to care as much about colors. They want to know about dinosaurs. You know, I liked it. It was not what I was expecting.
Right.
Yeah. And I hear a lot of it on those two podcasts I do get to listen to about dinosaurs. So that could be that I'm, yeah. I do want more about dinosaurs themselves rather than furry mammals, mammals from the Mesozoic. I don't care about them. I mean, they're there.
Right.
Something that is important, but it's just totally not my bag, baby.
Right. And
it's a good thing that you and I have similar yet not the same, because that would be boring if we just talked about we just agree with each other constantly and not expand our own. You and I expand our own, to other things, because it's interesting. It will be interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, fellow agents, for being with us on this journey in part 2. And remember, it's a magical world. Just go out and find it. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
I got beer.
I got bottled breast milk.
Why don't we start with the beer?
Okay.
Do you like the beer?
I do. Although it's actually a lager.
Huh. What's the difference between beer and lager?
I don't know. We could look it up.